This is a brief introduction to the topic for July 2015, which is Some Aspects of Love. It features information from Chapter 16 of The Path to the Real Self and lecture number 240 from the regular numbered lectures of the Path Work, both entitled Some Aspects of Love. I thought I would go over 3 points in this small presentation. First is that when we talk about love, it's important to consider what love means to you. What do I mean by that? Love is not a fact. It is a subjective evaluation. It's made up of things that we have learned, experiences that we have had. So my definition of love could very well be different from your definition of love. Consider that if we were trying to relate to each other on any loving level, that I might offer my version of love, and you might say the equivalent of "ugh," and you would offer your version of love, and I would wonder what that was about, because it doesn't look like love to me. So it is important for us when we are trying to relate to someone to always understand what they mean by the words they use, and to understand what we mean by the words we use. The second point is that love is not a huge thing. It just is. Love has many, many different components to it. And in Patrick Lecture 115, there was a very lovely list of love, different types of love, based upon levels of development. So I used it, included it in this study guide. And what the guide did was he delineated levels of love based on development, from the least challenging to the most challenging. That's really important here, not to revert to good, bad, best, worst. These are simply suggestions for considering different kinds of love, and you do not have to agree with them. But for instance, the guide describes at the least challenging level, therefore the least developed level, since we develop through challenges, that is a love for inanimate objects. You can love things, but the thing doesn't have to love you back. You don't have to deal with its personality quirks. There's never a disagreement between you and the thing, unless you drop it and it breaks and you're unhappy. But there's a more objective law that tends to cover things than that covers relationships between people. The second level is love for abstract ideas, principles, and thoughts. A third level is love for living creatures. Again, there is an interaction, but it is not as demanding as loving a friend, loving a family, or having a primary intimate relationship. The fourth level that described is love for mankind as a whole. Now, that's not easy. It's challenging. Sometimes it's less challenging to love everyone than it is to love one particular person. And according to the guide, the love for individuals in close, intimate relationship is the most challenging. I offer suggestions for daily review with each month's study guide, and I suggested this month to look at those different levels of love, to notice where we love, without judging it, just where we love. Where does love flow freely, and where do we have to work at it? And that brings me to the third point that I wanted to bring up, and that is that the guide talks about the work of love. He describes the work of love as the work of revealing ourselves to another. So again, if you look at these lists of 5 different developmental phases of love, revealing yourself to a crystal, there's nothing You don't feel vulnerable in doing that. It's a private affair. A love for an idea can be pigeonholed into a certain debate reference at school, but not at home, at work, but not at home or with your friends. Love for living creatures can also be a little bit one-sided. You don't have to reveal yourself to your pet. However, with another person, the organic, flowing liveliness of a relationship is usually strengthened, maintained, and advanced by the revelation of you to the other and of the other to you. And the guide describes this as the work of relationship, the work of love that is needed to support healthy sexuality and healthy eros, because the eros comes and goes, and sexuality is only one fragment, one section of a relationship. So that's just a brief outline. The study guide is online. I welcome you to download it. And we also hold weekly meetings, and I welcome you to join us. So thanks for listening.